Welcome to the Darkstream. VoxDay, voxday.blogspot.com, and Infogalactic. Now I know a lot of you will probably be watching this on replay rather than live because it's Friday night and you've probably got better things to do. Also, I'm still in Twitter jail for a couple more days, so the announcements are not going to go out. Thanks. We're very pleased with the response to Infogalactic news. It's doing well. The editors are doing a great job, and actually, we have our first Infogalactic consulting customer, which is kind of not what we planned to do, at least not yet. But we've had some companies come to us and say, "Hey, we'd like to use your wiki system," and so forth. And so we thought, well, we're going to have to figure out how to deal with this when we get the Don't Panic engine done, because there's a lot of people don't realize that there's lots of big corporations with very large wikis that are based on the Wikimedia engine, which is tremendously inefficient and tremendously outdated. So when Don't Panic comes out, we're going to have a lot of companies that will want to use it. So we thought, okay, if we're going to be doing some consulting and that sort of thing, and technical hosting and so forth, we might as well figure out how to get it done now. So anyhow, that's not what I was planning to talk about tonight, but I do always appreciate hearing from people that are using Infogalactic. And we're not really making a big push to bring more people over yet. That'll come in phase 2, but we'll get there. So I don't know what art whips mean. You mean artists? We've had a lot of different artists volunteer for Alt Hero, and maybe some of you are probably familiar with the Rageaholic, Razorfist. I was exchanging some email with him about what we're doing, and as you know, the comics, Marvel, DC Comics have been tremendously converged. I mean, they're just a disaster. I like aspects of the Flash TV show. I like aspects of Arrow even better. I like the Avengers movies rather better than the X-Men movies. But all of them are tremendously SJW converged. It's absolutely ridiculous. And this is just the TV shows. The comics themselves are even worse. They can't wait to get rid of the traditional white heroes. They can't wait to replace, Tony Stark with a black girl from the ghetto who is in college now and that sort of thing. It's just absurd. And the whole she-Thor, who's not a she-Thor, but is the actual Thor. I mean, when you have to point it out like that, it's ridiculous. And the way that they are attacking everything from, white couples to religion to sexual normalcy. I mean, all this sort of thing. They're just a tremendous disaster. So just like we did, I mean, if there's one thing that you know about me, you know that if I say that we're going to do something, there's a pretty good chance we're going to do it. And we're not just going to do it, but we're going to do it well. We're going to do it right. When I said that we were going to fork Wikipedia, we did that. Infogalactic was the result. When I said we were going to blow up the Hugos, we did that with Rabid Puppies. And then when they said that we couldn't do it again, we not only did it again, we took even more of the nominations. So I'm happy to be able to tell you right now that we are in the process of doing this with the comics. We are going to be doing a Kickstarter for Alt Hero. Alt Hero is designed to be bringing back the positive aspects of comics while at the same time providing an alternative perspective on the current political situation. So, for example, the cover of one of the first Alt Heroes is going to be called The War in Paris. And in the middle of it, in the middle of the scene on the cover, is Captain Europa in his unmistakable blue and yellow outfit with the yellow stars on the chest and so forth. And of course, the Global Justice Initiative is very, very different, and yet is very, very similar in some ways to the Justice League of America, because they're devoted to, or at least what the Justice League of America has become. It's not devoted to America, it's devoted to social justice. And so, you know, in the middle of he's in the middle of the scene, and he is separating two guys, two men who are fighting in the middle of a big battle royale, a riot that's going on between Generation Identitaire, GI, and Antifa. Of course, you know which side Captain Europa is going to take. He's not going to take the side of the nationalists. That would not be global justice. So, you know, this is just one set of superheroes who, when seen from the traditional perspective, are actually a little bit more what you and I would consider to be villains. They might consider themselves to be the heroes, but we know better. However, there are actual heroes, and they are the alternatives, and they are not approved of by their governments and so forth. Instead, quite to the opposite, they are doing the job that the government won't do. So some of you have seen the sample pages and stuff. We have a lot more. You know, we're going to have it, I think when we do the Kickstarter, we're planning to have at least 16 finished pages from 3 different comics. We're going to have at least 2 different covers. We're going to have some of the character designs and that sort of thing. There may be a villain living somewhere in Italy known as the Supreme Dark Lord and so forth. Just a minor character, not a significant one. It's going to be fun. I mean, I really like what the artists have done. You know, and there are going to be, that's one of the things that we're going to be offering actually in the Kickstarter, is that we're going to be offering opportunities for cameos. You know, doesn't have to be, it could be you, as in, you know, if the sponsor's at a certain level, you know, they could sponsor a cameo of themselves just if they want to be a person in the crowd. Or, you know, if you want to have a cameo of someone that you would like to see in there, you know, if it's possible, we can work them into the story somehow. So, I'm just laughing because I'm just thinking the last time I was in Paris, the people I was with was Milo and Mike Cernovich. So, no, we're not doing anything with Base Stickman. I have no interest whatsoever in Base Stickman. You know, I'm not I mean, he's definitely on the, more or less on the right side, but I don't really have much, I don't have much to do with the the civic nationalists and the alt-right and all that sort of thing. I mean, I've literally never talked to the guy. I have no connection whatsoever. Oh, we would definitely have room for, a pistol-toting CCL grandma, absolutely. An SJW I'd like to throw darts at. I'm sure we can figure out a way to work something like that in. But I mean, the thing is the focus, as everything, as always, is going to be on the story. The story, these little things are minor. They're trivial, they're fun, they're little nods to this or that and the other thing. But, the main thing is the stories have to be really good, bordering on great. Because this is going to generate a lot of hate. This is going to generate a lot of angst, and, it's going to be derided and attacked as Nazi comics and blah, 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 despite the fact that there's nothing whatsoever to do with that sort of thing. We're not art concept. There's already some sample pages up on the, there's already some sample pages up at VP. When we do the Kickstarter, we will show all the sample pages, all the sample characters. No, you guys need to not, see, that's the thing. This is the difference between professionals and amateurs. Amateurs always have a lot of really lame ideas that don't work. They're too obvious. It's kind of funny because when we're doing the daily meme wars now, and it's amazing to me. It's kind of like when people come up with ideas for games. One thing that you have to get used to as a game developer is that as soon as people find out that you do games, you get lots and lots of people saying, "Oh, I have a great idea for a game." And what's funny is that, usually the idea is really bad. But that's not what's funny. That's just expected. What's really funny is that I would say probably about 30% of the time, the idea for a game is not actually a game. It doesn't have anything to do with actually being, it doesn't have the basic mechanics of a game. And so, stop and think through your ideas, okay? When you come up with ideas, they can't just be didactic. Let's talk about that idea that just was suggested. Yes, exactly like that, right? They always, with writers, they always say, "I have a great idea for a book. You can write it and we'll split the profits." Great, because, no author has ideas of their own, right? Anyhow, I try hard not to get too, if I sound really harsh and sarcastic now, it's because this is how I actually feel when people come up and say these things to me. I don't respond harshly to them. I just smile and say, "Oh, that's a great idea." And then, probably ignore it. But okay, so let's talk about that idea there. A superhero girl whose power is summoning beta orbiters. Okay, now what's the point of that? The whole point of that is the point of that to tell a great story? No. The point of that is to make a point about game, social sexual interaction, and specifically, to release some irritation about a girl who treated somebody like a beta orbiter, right? Well, guess what? That's not a good basis for a story, and that's not a good superpower. Why is that not a good superpower? Who can tell me why that's just not at all a good superpower. No, it's not really useless per se. Boring? Yeah, maybe. But I have something specific in mind. This is a specific reason why that idea, based on a real event, it happened. No, there we go. It's not super. What is super about a power that practically every attractive woman has? And, yeah, and what are the beta orbiters going to do? So you see what I mean? That's an idea. I'm not criticizing, whoever came up with that for having the idea. I'm just saying that don't blurt out ideas if you haven't thought them through. You have to think the idea through. Is that a superpower? No, it's not a superpower. Because lots of other girls have it. Now, sure, you could turn it into a superpower by maybe she has the power to telepathically summon her beta orbiters and pull them through the space-time continuum to have them appear next to her. Okay? You could theoretically do that. That would actually be a superpower. But then how do you distinguish that? Why would she have the ability only to summon those guys? And how would you make it clear to the reader that these are beta orbiters? When you start see, this is how you think about things as a storyteller. This is how you think about things as a writer. This is how you think about things as a creator. You don't just, the idea cannot exist because, I think it would be neat to make a point about girls and beta orbiters. That's what we call, a didactic story. An example of a didactic novel would be Ayn Rand's novels. The Fountainhead is a didactic novel. 1984 and Animal Farm are didactic novels. Victoria, which we publish, is a didactic novel. The novels exist first and foremost to make certain specific points. The story is sacrificed in order to make the point. Now, if the point is sufficiently important, the book can be significant. 1984 is a very significant novel. Animal Farm is a very significant novel, but are they great stories? Atlas Shrugged, same way. No, they're not. Something like The Missionaries is not didactic. Does it make a point? Yes, it does make a point about UN, the United Nations, and NGOs, and the way that they, claim to be helping people, but they actually make things worse. Yes, it makes those points, but in The Missionaries, the story absolutely comes first, and the story is hilarious. And by the way, I'm very, very happy to be able to tell you that we have signed Owen Stanley's next novel. It's going to be called The Promethean, and it's really funny. He's still polishing some scenes. We're in the process of doing some of the early edits, but it's going to be just as funny and just as successful, maybe more successful than The Missionaries. So look for The Promethean to come out from Castalia House later this year. I would like to write more Quantum Mortis, but I have to get SJW's Always Double Down done. Then I have to finish the Sea of Skulls, the extended edition, which I've actually been working on, even though I'm supposed to be working on SJW's. But I'm having a little bit too much fun with the Thudera character. So it's there's only so much time to write, and so but we'll get more Quantum Mortis out there someday. I think I have to do a story a short story for an anthology soon, so I'll probably do another Quantum Mortis short story. I don't know if you've read, if any of you have read Forbidden Thoughts yet, the analogy or the anthology that came out from Superversive Press, but that actually has a Quantum Mortis short story in it. It doesn't star Graven Tower, but it does have a short story called The Amazon Gambit. So, anyhow, I just want to let you know that we've got this Kickstarter coming up soon for Alt Hero. I hope you'll consider supporting it. I think that I think it'll be worthwhile. Thanks, I'm glad to hear that you like this story. I actually thought it was pretty good myself. I was intending it for There Will Be War, but Jerry Pournelle said, yeah, I don't think so. He liked it, but anyhow, the guys are really doing great work. I think you're really going to like how professional it is, how good it is, and we're excited about bringing it to you soon. So, anyhow, have a good weekend. Go ahead and ask a question then. Yeah, I did see the Calexa thing that they did. I mean, obviously very different than the one we had in mind, but yeah, I saw it. Anyhow, for those of you who subscribe to the Daily Meme Wars, we're not doing the daily memes on the weekend. However, we will. I am sending out an email to everybody so you can vote on your meme of the week, and I will then post the meme of the week on the blog on Sunday. Regular meme service will resume on Monday. And if you're interested, I'll send out, they'll have an invitation if you want to sign up for, the Castalia Book Club. You might want to do so because we have a mail going out on Monday for a new book release, and we'll have the usual, free book offer and so forth. So if you haven't signed up for the Castalia Book Club, you might want to do that. Otherwise, you'll have an opportunity to do that if you get the Daily Meme Wars. So have a good weekend, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon. And in answer to your question, I don't know. You'll have to look that up yourself. Cheers.